The All Blacks have a fortress, a graveyard for every international team that has dared to challenge them for the last 31 years. It's a place where unbeaten streaks are born and where hopes of victory go to die. But the Springboks will attempt to end a 50-match unbeaten streak by New Zealand next week. In this episode, you are going to get a front row seat to what makes Eden Park the most formidable challenge in world rugby, and why I believe we are the only team on earth that can tear down this monument to dominance. Can we do it? I believe we can. All unbeaten runs eventually come to an end, and we are probably the team best equipped to do it. In fact, all the way back in 1921, South Africa became the first team ever to beat the All Blacks at Eden Park. The Boks did it again in 1937 to not only win in Auckland, but become the first team to ever win a test series against the All Blacks in New Zealand. Since then, the British and Irish Lions, Australia, France and Ireland have also achieved this feat. However, of those sides, only the Lions and the French have also won test series in South Africa. And the Kiwis did to us what we did to them. So in that sense, you could say that South Africa, as a whole, is the most difficult place to win. You can think of the altitude, you can think of, especially in the old days, the state of the grass. It wasn't those lush green pitches that we see today. You go back and look at what pitches in Bloemfontein and Johannesburg and Pretoria looked like in the old days. It's this sort of bone-dry, rock-hard yellow colour as well, and opposition teams did not like it. What makes New Zealand so unique? Well, firstly, you've probably got to fly across between 10 and 12 time zones just to get there. The weather isn't great historically for their winter tours. And then on top of all of that, you throw in a world-class team and you throw in a bit of intimidation, and you can see why it is so difficult. But obviously, we're talking about a specific venue here. So 1937, that's the last time the Springboks won there. 1994 is the last time anyone other than the All Blacks won there. That excludes the World Cup, where neutral teams have competed at the venue, of course. But I started digging, and I uncovered something that those other so-called fortresses that might surprise you, and it only highlights the sheer scale of the challenge that lies ahead for the Boks. You might talk about Twickenham, the Millennium Stadium, Aviva Stadium, Stade de France, maybe even Murrayfield. The problem is that the European teams that play there tend to play all their home games there. Yes, now and again the French play in Lyon or Marseille, but how often do you see England playing in Manchester, or Scotland in Glasgow, or Wales in Swansea? It is very rare. And because the teams tend to be fairly evenly matched up there, historically anyway, think of the Six Nations, and then similarly slightly weaker than the Southern Hemisphere sides, they tend to lose at least one match a year at their home grounds, often 2, 3, even 4, or in Wales's case, all. Contrastingly, South Africa and New Zealand, as well as Australia and Argentina, move their home games around the country. So what you find is that the Springboks have never lost at the Mbombela Stadium, for example. Perhaps we should play all our tests in Nelspruit. We also have a great record at the Cape Town Stadium and the old Boet Erasmus Stadium in Port Elizabeth. We're pretty good at the new Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium in Gqeberha too, come to think of it. In terms of winning percentages, Loftus is another great venue for us. All of those places are ahead of Ellis Park, would you believe, in terms of winning percentages. But perhaps not reputation. The Wallabies have long held up Brisbane as a fortress as well. The Suncorp Stadium is a place where the sun sets on visiting teams' fortunes. And in domestic rugby, Munster went unbeaten at Thomond Park for 12 years in the Heineken Cup. And Claremont Auvergne were unbeaten in all competitions at home from November 2009 to January 2014. The streak went on for an incredible 77 games. The All Blacks have got 26 more to go just to equal that record. At Eden Park, anyway. You could say that after the streak goes on for long enough, then opposition teams have basically lost the match before it kicks off because it becomes a mental challenge you have to overcome. You might say that the All Blacks are already 7, 10, 14 points ahead before the match even kicks off because of the fear, the intimidation, and the reputation of the venue. And if we forget Auckland for a second, to further highlight the enormity of the challenge our Springboks face, we have only beaten the All Blacks in New Zealand 4 times since readmission. In 1998, on our way to winning the Tri-Nations, we handed them a historic 13-3 beating in Wellington. It was a victory that felt seismic. Or Ricky January's late audacious try in 2008 that secured a famous win in Dunedin. A year later, we overcame them 32-29 to wrap up the Tri-Nations, and then we had to wait until 2018 to again beat them over there, a 36-34 triumph in Wellington. We have also drawn twice over there since readmission. 16-16 in Wellington in 2019 before the Rugby World Cup, and then 18-all in Auckland of all places. Ironically, that draw was the first of these 50 unbeaten matches for the All Blacks at Eden Park. So who better than us to end this streak, especially since we effectively started it? But it's going to require the mother of all efforts. It's going to require more than skill. The Boks will have to overcome themselves first. What do I mean? Well, we have lots of areas to improve based on what we've seen so far in 2025. Our defence has to be better. We need to be better in our lineouts and breakdowns. And I want to see more mauling from us too, which is just incomprehensible to me. The stakes are high, and we're not just fighting against a record. We're fighting to regain our own identity. We have lots of areas to improve. Our defence has to be better. We need to be better in our lineouts and breakdowns. I want to see more mauling from us too. I feel like I'm repeating myself here. What also gives me hope is that the Kiwis are not exactly invincible themselves these days. I see plenty of cracks. Their defence doesn't look too clever either. And I think their back 3 is a problem. That's the area to target, I say. No doubt Dr. Rassie Erasmus has identified weaknesses in their game, and now we wait patiently to see if the world champions can successfully exploit said weaknesses and create their own bit of history on Saturday. What do you think? Do you agree with me that this record has to end at some point and we are the ideal side to pull it off? Or do you think it will just be a case of more of the same and this seemingly impenetrable record is set to continue? Let me know in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, may I also encourage you to sign up on my Patreon page. I would love to do this full-time, guys, and go to Australia and cover the Rugby World Cup in 2027 for you from down under with daily coverage. If you sign up, you can get your name mentioned in my videos. You can get discounts on my soon-to-be-launched merchandise store. You can stand a chance to win the new Springbok jersey released earlier this year. You can also stand a chance to win the soon-to-be-released James Small biography. You might also be able to have quarterly Zoom calls with me where we discuss Springbok players, matches and tactics. And you might even be able to get me to write an ebook for you on your favorite player. It starts from as little as $5 per month. That's US dollars, not Zim dollars. And if that sounds like something you want to be a part of, then head on over to my Patreon page and sign up right now. The link is in the description area below. And if you'd like a bit more info on exactly how it works, I made a video for you here detailing everything you might want to know. And if you're not yet ready to support me in that manner, you can also just crock roll the like button. You can also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And one man who did successfully beat the All Blacks in New Zealand is James Dalton. Why not check out my exclusive interview with Bullet in this interview over here, and I'll see you next time.